a playlist original.
All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Back to the Blockbuster with your host KS and Jackson. A very packed news episode for you today. We love doing these. We just weren't expecting it to be as packed because when we discussed doing news this week, we originally were going to do news and one of our anniversary episodes for Kingdom of Heaven, and just because of timing and having things to do, and then just an influx of more news coming in, it just made sense to focus on this. A lot of it kind of felt like it started like maybe last Thursday, last Friday, and then kind of just carried over into the new week. We're recording right now on Tuesday, June 10th, and there was just a lot. Even as I was like getting ready to do this with Jackson, like type stuff in, get an email like, "Oh, we should add that," and like another email like, "Oh, we should add that too." So I guess the good part about doing it as a new show, because I'm like, all right, we only have like this to do, and then sometimes right before we start, there's like a bunch of updates on stuff, and it's exciting. We were talking last week that we were excited to do this news episode because it's a lot of really interesting topics, some more than others, but some that like I think either we both will have a lot of feedback on, or one or the other. But yeah, I'm excited for it too. There's like a lot of different types of news today, like either stuff being in development or things that we need to update you on because we brought it up in past news episodes. So yeah, a lot of things. Hollywood's moving. How do you feel just about the stuff that we do have to go over today?
Like you said, it's very diverse, and I'm excited to get into a few of these things. I guess what I was going to just to build on what you were saying is I love our dense news episodes, and we haven't had one of those in a while. We did get a couple out, I think, in the month of May, but they were like relatively light, where we kind of had a little bit of a hiatus where we were catching up with anniversary episodes. So I'm glad that our news episode today is kind of on the bulkier side. And a lot of horror related news as well, and superhero stuff, which seems to be like two of the main things that we're usually, the big things that going on in Hollywood these days, and then a fair amount of drama, some sequels, and of course a lot of trailers. We're getting into like the busy part of the year with releases, so we get the first looks at a few trailers too that I'm really excited to chat about. A few of them that came out of the blue for me, saving those for the end, but I'm really excited to chat about a couple of those. But opening him up it's something that I didn't really expect to hear much development on, especially after I think it was 2022's Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it kind of came and went. I never caught it. Just I kind of read what I needed to know about it. And did you sit through that one though?
I sat through it. I sat through it because I had to interview the director and one of the stars of it, and it was always awkward because like I didn't love it, so all the questions
that could be tough.
All the questions I had for them were just grab whatever cool thing you found in the movie and just focus on that, which was genuine. Like, when I was talking to them, the things I did bring up, because there were some fun. There's this one, like, I don't know if you heard about it and like from people who saw it, but there's this one bus sequence in the Netflix one that is insanely, like, if you're a big gore head in horror movies, it is probably the highlight of a very not so great movie, but it's done so well. And when I talked to the director, I think I spent like half of my questions talking about that one scene, which I hope
I did watch that on YouTube as well. It did look pretty crazy.
Yeah, I hope it was obvious to him that I spent half the time only talking about one scene and not the movie as a whole. We kind of brought this up briefly about Texas Chainsaw Massacre bidding war, and at the time, people like Glenn Powell were involved, and I guess that is still one of the names that are in the mix for wanting it. But now there are like a lot of interesting people that want it, and this story for me is like kind of twofold. It's like telling you guys who's involved, and then I guess asking Jackson, and then kind of like for you guys listening, who do we think should get it, and what kind of, and where would it be, what home would fit it the best. But then also, I guess for me too, like I brought this up, I think before with you, because like, we've talked about the first film. We did an episode on the original film along with the 2003 remake. And I think kind of what we discussed a little bit then was like that franchise is one really great movie, which is the original. I think the remake is good. Like, you didn't enjoy it, but I think there are people that enjoy it. I think the prequel to that remake is also fairly decent. And I know there's some love out there for part 2, even though it's vastly different from the original. But for the most part, that franchise is so it doesn't have a lot of good favor with a lot of horror fans. It's not like, you know, incredibly successful compared to like something like Halloween. It reminds me of like the bidding war for The Exorcist. Now I don't even know how much people are going to be paying for this because a figure hasn't come out as to like what is the like what would be the winning bid for this franchise. But it reminds me of that situation where again The Exorcist is one great movie. And and then that third one that is a fan favorite, which is enjoyable, not as good as the original, but still fairly decent. But then the rest of them haven't done all that well, and we kind of saw with Exorcist Believer, that just because there's name recognition doesn't mean that people are going to go flock to it in the same way as when Blumhouse had Halloween for 3 movies with Universal. Like it's just a much different franchise. Like Halloween makes sense because there's more than one successful film there. There's a few. It's a bigger franchise. It makes sense that people will want to spend a lot of money on it. So there's that question about it. But other than Glenn Powell's participation is if they were to get it, apparently is through A24 and it'd be like a TV project. If that is the case. Tyler Sheridan is also in the mix. Everyone knows like from Yellowstone and like and slew of other TV shows. The busiest guy at Lioness.
Water.
And movies as well, like Wind River. Like he is incredibly busy. But much like Glenn Powell, he is a Texas boy, so it would make sense for him to want it. Also in the mix is Oz Perkins. He would only be on as
that's news. Cool.
He would only be on as a producer and a co-writer with Brian Bertino, who you guys might remember wrote and directed the original 2008 The Strangers. The only way that they would get it is if Neon gets it. So Neon, that puts them in the mix, and Neon has a incredible, I guess, long-standing deal with Oz Perkins. Like the movies he's making, he wants to make with them, and that is another side of it. Another interesting party is Jordan Peele's Monkey Paw production banner. So that that would also be a really interesting choice. And then we also talked about Strange Darlings, JT Mulder, and then a Minecraft movie and weapons producer Roy Lee is also in the mix as well. So there are a lot of different people that are vying for it. All in all, and I guess there's other names that they haven't really revealed to you, but 5 to 8 studios and/or streamers are vying for the rights to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that includes film, TV, live events, and games. So like there is I guess that's a big reason why they want it, because it's not just the movies. There is a potential for like a lot of money made through kind of merchandising it out in a bunch of different areas. So that's a lot to take in. But of those respective parties, who do you think should get it? And are you surprised that so many people really want it?
I don't know that I'm surprised that there's a lot of interest in the rights. I think maybe some of the names I didn't really expect. I mean, it is a culturally important horror movie. I think it's lovely to hear that Taylor Sheridan is interested in this, and I would love to see him direct again. He's a really talented writer as well, and he's written some of his projects that have been directed by other people are also fantastic. Sometimes I forget which he's written and which he's directed. Like with Wind River, I can't remember if he directed that or if he just wrote or both.
I believe he directed it too. That movie is very good.
Awesome.
I want to say underrated, but I think it did decently enough. But I don't feel like a lot of people talk about it a lot.
Well, I feel like it doesn't have like that staying power like as much as it should. Like I've returned to that movie a few times. I always look forward to rewatching it. Really, really like it. So I would love to see him. By the way. He did? Okay. So it must be Hell or High Water that he didn't direct but he also wrote, because I was one I rewatched recently. I can't remember who did it. And then he's obviously show creator of Yellowstone and
it feels like everything.
Yeah, and all the spinoffs of that. I would really like to see him try his hand at horror. Whether as a writer or director, I think a team up with him and Oz Perkins would be legendary. I would love to see Oz Perkins kind of handle on this, because he is just an emerging voice in horror right now. Has a really unique style, like very depressing and atmospheric, which would be different for, I think, this series. But I'd like to see them work together. And with Glenn Powell starring, I don't know that I imagine like Glenn Powell doing much other than I think I could see him as a producing role, but directing or writing, I think I see
Yeah.
him more as like acting in a project like this. So like I think like a triple threat from Oz Perkins, Taylor Sheridan, and Glenn Powell acting would be great. Whether you
Yeah.
flip Jordan Peele and Oz Perkins as like producers, I think that would still go really well. Jordan Peele, I don't know that I see him like directing. This doesn't seem like something that I picture up his
Yeah.
alley. He's
He
been
would
right
produce
now. He's 3 for 3 with
anything.
original movies, and I feel like
Yeah.
he might be better off maybe doing another. And he's got an original movie coming out, I think December of this year, unless it was delayed. I'm not
I
sure. I haven't heard anything in a
I
while,
can
but
see him producing it only because
yeah,
he could have possibly changed his mind since he started directing features. But after with Get Out, Us, and Nope, he seemed like he really wanted to make original genre movie or direct
right.
them for like kind of like the African American experience, which is why and that makes sense. So like unless he wanted to like do that with Texas Chainsaw, I can't see him directing it, but I can certainly see him
See him
producing
producing.
it
Yeah,
if
I
if
agree.
if that was the case. Yeah.
Um, and then there was another name in there. I think you threw out. Yeah,
JT
oh
Mulder is
yes, that's
the
right.
who did Strange Darling, which is a very great. I love that
One of my
movie.
favorites of last year.
Uh,
That was incredible.
Best to go in blind to that one if you guys haven't seen it, because
Mm.
I went in a bit blind and was completely surprised and floored by it. I think he'd be a really good choice for this too. I know when someone probably heard me say a Minecraft movie and weapons producer,
Yeah.
Roy Lee is a producer, and I think works with uh those are both Warner Brothers movies. So I'm assuming he might not work exclusively with Warner Brothers as a producer, but that might be a factor, in potentially something like someone like that getting it. Um, he produced a Minecraft movie was, no matter how you felt about it, if you saw it, I didn't see it, not my cup of tea, but
Yeah, me either.
it made $950 million worldwide. So it's was very successful. And Weapons, like we mentioned when we talked about the trailer twice, it has generated so much buzz at Warner Brothers. Like they're all excited. Everyone who's seen the movie said that it is really good. People who read the script, I didn't realize that there's a story that Jordan Peele, like I believe, fired someone on his team because he really wanted that movie at his production company after he read it, and
Okay.
somebody fumbled that bag
Oh
really bad
no.
there, and then they went to Warner Brothers. So yeah, and that is looking to be really successful in August. So I think all of these homes are potentially good, at least from a financial standpoint, like on how to
Yeah.
sell it. I'm not saying Netflix was wrong to have it or the wrong place for it, but uh, what I like about all of these, and I hope it goes to a studio rather than a streamer, which is why,
Yes.
If it's Monkey Paw, if it's Neon, any of them, at least it's a theatrical film. And I think that, you know, however you might feel about the franchise, and I know I said that, Leatherface as a image and just as, and even if you're just talking about the original movie, it would be cool to get a proper, really well done version of it on the big screen again. And that
I
would,
totally agree. We need it on the
and
big screen.
yeah, and I feel that about like a lot of the kind of horror heavyweights that are absent on the big screen. Like, I think you and I think I liked it a tad bit more, but I understood like the issues with Hulu's like Hellraiser that they did. And,
Mm.
I didn't really love it, but, it would have been great to kind of see that, a proper, really good Hellraiser on the big screen.
Yes.
It's been a while since the Nightmare on Elm Street's been on the big screen. That was, we just had the 50th anniversary of the remake, and that's the last time it's been on the big screen. And then that's the issue with rights because, like, people want that, but they don't want to pay the Wes Craven's estate what it is deserved to have that. So there's always like that battle going on with that. We already know the long suffering battle with Friday the 13th, but at least we're finally getting the Crystal Lake TV series with the A24.
So
They're
that's
actually
why,
filming that
yes.
now.
And maybe I would be more championing A24 to win this rights battle if I saw the product of how their Friday the 13th series goes.
Yeah,
I think until we really see how they make out with that endeavor, where it's kind of their first foray into that sort of IP, that
yeah,
could maybe strengthen their case if that ends up being successful. I'm sure this will be resolved before that comes. But I think I'm leaning towards Neon. I really love Neon's horror movies. They're on a incredible winning streak when it comes to like, and I know this wouldn't really be necessarily at the same alley, but like at Con, they've won the last 6 Palm d'Ors at that festival. Like they are, I think, kind of like the titans of horror distribution right now.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd really like to see that studio win the rights to that, and then that along with them comes Oz Perkins. I think that would be really, really great pairing. And I hope Glenn Powell is attached to this, especially like you mentioned, he's a Texas boy. He's he's a humongous superstar right now, probably like early kind of the early part of what's going to be a really lengthy and great star-studded career. So I think he would bring a lot of eyes to this project if he does end up getting attached. So it's great that there's a lot of interest and buzz for that IP, because I think you're right. We are ripe for a new take on that story, and to see Leatherface back in action would be great. It's been a while. Well, I guess since Netflix's, but on the big screen anyway.
On the big screen,
I would love to go see Leatherface on the.
I forgot about that really bad one with I think her name is Alexander Daddario, and Trey Songz was in it. It was really
2009.
Really bad.
Is that
somewhere in there? Yeah, it was really bad. I forgot. I was like that.
I don't even remember that one. Yeah,
I think that was the last time that IP has been released theatrically, and it made decent money. I mean, it came out in January when it came out. I remember that, and it probably had like no budget, so like that's probably why it did so decently. But we haven't had a really, arguably. I mean, however you feel about the remake, it was incredibly successful, like the 2003 one, and ushered in, for better or worse, a whole slew of remakes from those horror icons and IPs and stuff. So, I mean, that was the last time I think it was truly like successful in the big screen. So, I guess like the good thing about it is that all these names are like good. They're all really good creatives behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be in good hands creatively wherever it lands. But I'm just trying to imagine like a Neon marketed Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I can just envision great things with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they know how to market their films, particularly their horror movies. I mean, as of late. So I'm cool with that. And then the thing with A24, I agree with you. I want to see how this Crystal Lake series turns out before
they get their hands on another one, right?
Before I just
do one at a time.
Yeah. You remember back in, I think it was last year when we talked about this, even though there's been no news on this front, but I remember when the Halloween rights were up in the air, because like there was Blumhouse had basically rented them for those 3 movies, and then they became and then they became available again across film and TV. And originally A24 wanted a stab at it, and they did put in a bid, but they lost. And I was like, I wonder what a Halloween A24 project would look like. And it ended up sticking in-house with like Universal being able to control TV versions and movie versions. Now we haven't heard anything about that since. Like nothing's been in the mix, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they're like taking their time with whatever they're deciding to do with that. But I just remember when A24 was in that mix, I was like, oh, that would be interesting for them to have like a mainstream like horror title like that. But like, what would that look like? I mean, because we talked about before on the show that A24 is a great indie studio, but then they started really addressing the fact that they wanted more mainstream kind of movies in their mix, because they make money and they want to make money, and even if they're an independent studio, they need to turn a profit.
Right.
So, I don't know. I still don't. I'm glad that I don't know if they're gonna get Texas Chainsaw. I kind of my just knee jerk reaction answer to this is Neon right now.
Yeah.
However, I also like the idea of Tyler Sheridan getting a crack at it, and because he is a good writer and director. The only one that seems kind of odd is maybe Jordan Peele, but even he might do something good with it. Yeah, as a producer, like even though if he wasn't a director, he would be, I think, hands on as a producer. Yes. So like there's like so many good avenues that it can go. I'm just had no idea that Leatherface was so loved in the
I know, it's great
industry, and that people would want the title so bad. But it's a successful franchise overall. There's like a lot of money to be made. And I think because they were seeing how all these other legacy sequels are doing, you know, you can go back to like the 2018 Halloween all the way through Scream, even across TV. I know Chucky only lasted 3 seasons, but that brought that IP back in a significant way. So there's like space for all these older franchises to come back again. I think that's why so many people might want it, but I hope that they proceed with a lot of caution and look at The Exorcist as a good example, because now I'm happy that it's in Mike Flanagan's hands. Now our next story is interesting, not and like because of this, but like at least it's in someone's hands that I think knows it and would get it. David Gordon Green was not someone I think that really got it, even though he got Halloween to an extent. In 2018 was pretty solid movie, and you know we're all differ on. I like Kills. Some people didn't love it. Ends is very divisive. It didn't really end maybe the way that people wanted to, but in the beginning he felt like the right choice for it.
Right.
But you know, I just hope that with Texas Chainsaw, like they really understand, like whoever it's not just the bid, it's also the pitch of like this is what we want to do with it, and that goes with like bidding on a franchise like this. You know, it is also here's the idea that we have, and like we think this idea will be very interesting to move the franchise forward. So wherever it goes, you know, I think there's a company called Vertigo that has the rights and they're selling it. I hope they listen to the best pitch and it goes into the right hands, basically. And I guess that's all we can really say about it. But it is cool that like it's such a offbeat, all over the place franchise, and in 2025 is in a position where so many people want it.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty interesting.
Kind of unexpected, kind of came from out of nowhere, but I know that we'll be paying attention to details as that story changes, and excited for some updates. Hopefully we have an answer soon about where Leatherface's home is going to be next. But that was a great segue to our next story with Mike Flanagan's Exorcist movie. I believe at one point, while it was in David Gordon Green's hands, the sequel to his movie was Exorcist Believer, was Exorcist Deceiver. The second of a planned trilogy. Mike Flanagan came on board after the disaster that was David Gordon Green's a couple years ago. And so we have a recent update on the status of that movie. Apparently, not apparently, it has been delayed. And I've heard indefinitely. I don't know if that's fact or if that's kind of like hyperbole, but what I did hear is a quote from Mike Flanagan that pre-production hasn't even begun. It's not going to hit. I think it had a target of, was it March of next year?
March 13th of next year. Yeah, that was the date.
And that's so another 8 or 9 months from now, and they already project they're not hitting that. I'm not sure. What are your thoughts on that? Are you surprised to hear it? I kind of just assumed that production was underway at this point because he's been attached to that for a few months now. Surprising, at least to me, to hear that nothing's even begun yet on that movie. What are your thoughts on that?
So I thought this was not great news until I looked into it a little further, and it makes a little sense, a little bit more sense as to why it's delayed. One, he's writing, directing, and producing it, so it is not just like he will have his hands full once he does get started on it. I think with all the announcements of him like getting it, there's the exception that like, oh, even though they took the Seaver one off the release date, that like, oh, we can actually, I think also studios get like so trigger happy. They're like, oh, we got the new guy now, and he's gonna do this, and we can like, that's why projected release dates. I mean, they work in two ways, right? They get like, like the whole movie theater companies and stuff excited because like, oh, this is on the calendar, like we can look forward to this movie on this date. The downside of that is you either will have a production company or studio that will rush to make that date at the detriment of said film, and that's not good. And it puts a lot of pressure on all the creatives behind those projects. So, like, I need more time than like the 2 or 3 months that this release date is away. There's a lot of horror stories from back in the day. If you guys want to look them up, or if you just typed in anything remotely close to this, there are so many stories of like studios not budging from a release date, and then people making a movie realize we're not going to make it, we're rushing it, and it hurts the film in the end. So I'm glad that's not the case. That Mike Flanagan, and they really need him, so I guess that's why they're willing to wait. The big reason is that his first priority is his Carrie TV series, which I just finished casting, and he's going to be doing that first for Amazon MGM Studios.
Another Stephen King adaptation of his. I didn't
Yeah.
even know if I don't think I've ever even heard of that development. So that's interesting to know. That's
Yeah,
coming.
and I think it's because we made an inadvertent choice to like not always cover TV on the show because it was like
Yeah.
it's movies. But if it's like
Even
adjacent to
elsewhere,
it,
like I definitely didn't hear that. I don't think.
yeah. But yeah, he's doing that. And he said production hasn't started. We need to finish Carrie first. No way it's coming out next month, next March. But he said nothing to worry about though. So I believe that there's nothing to really worry about if he's willing to say that. And I think Carrie's supposed to be 8 episodes. That's still a lot of stuff, and they haven't even started that. They had a I know Matthew Loder said they had their first table read and they get started soon on filming it. But yeah, I mean, he's focused on that, and then he'll hop on to The Exorcist after he's done with Carrie. So like, I don't know, give him time to do it because remember this was a $400 million investment that you almost screwed up with Exorcist Believer. That movie only made $137 million worldwide, which would have been fine relative to its budget. But when you factor in the fact that they spent so much on the rights, then that's not a great start.
Yeah.
Four was supposed to be a planned trilogy, by the way, and that got dumped almost immediately. So Mike Flanagan's take is not going to be remotely connected to this. That whole believer deceiver stuff is dropped.
It is done. Okay.
Yeah. It's the original story from Mike Flanagan. They're not going with what David Gordon Green and his team are going with. So, if it's delayed because he has to get other work done first and not maybe focus on 2 things at once, I am completely okay with that.
I agree. I like. I had to hear you kind of frame it before I made up my mind, but the fact that they're not rushing to meet a deadline is ultimately good news. We'll probably save whatever is planned for that movie. And I guess I never really knew what its target release was in the first place, but the fact that he's taking his time with it, that he does have such a hands-on role in multiple different categories, writing, directing, producing, that is a tall order. And I can appreciate it. And I'm not surprised to hear somebody like Mike Flanagan, who's like, leading man in the horror genre today, is taking his time with this project. And it's obviously, there's a lot of pressure, no doubt. Like you mentioned with the budget that the studio had with that series and what they spent. So it's nice to hear that he's taking his time. He's being cautious. He's not just meeting an arbitrary deadline, and that they're not going to repeat that mistake of the first one. So ultimately, I think that comes across as like it's bad news if you're like really looking forward to it, but good news in the sense that it would probably benefit the final product.
Right. So this next story represents a major win for Blake Lively and her It Ends With Us debacle journey, whatever you want to call it, with Justin Baldoni. I kind of came out as a surprise to me. I mean, like it been kind of quiet on this front, and thank God, because like for Movie Whip, I counted. I wrote 18 stories about this from the time from the time that it started up until whenever it kind of slowed down. And it's not just about like the lawsuits; it's other people like coming in and speaking like about their experiences with Blake Lively or their experience with him, or like Marvel getting in the mix because just about Baldoni got them in the mix. Like a lot of stuff going on. But this one is pretty big. A judge on Monday dismissed the lawsuit that actor and director Justin Baldoni filed against his Ends With Us co-star Blake Lively after she sued him last year for sexual harassment and retaliation. Judge Lewis Lyman's decision is the latest development in this bitter legal battle surrounding the romantic film. He was suing her or countersued her in January for $400 million alongside her husband, Ryan Reynolds, and her publicist. The judge ruled that Baldoni can't sue Lively for defamation over claims she made in her legal claim because allegations made in a lawsuit are exempt from libel claims. Lyman also ruled that Baldoni's claims that Lively stole creative control of the film didn't count as extortion under California law. But the judge did say that he has until June 23rd to revise his complaint if he chooses so. And today, his lawyer, they wrote something today that I thought was really just telling of what this thing has turned into online. I thought it was interesting yesterday, and I don't know if it's just because my algorithm changed, but like for a while, when these lawsuits were going back and forth, there were just all these internet sleuths, TikTok, X, you know, trudging up all this stuff about Blake Lively and basically trying to label her as the villain with no real like evidence to back that up. They were just like posting stuff for clicks. And Justin Baldoni and several statements has like given praise to these sleuths for like uncovering the truth about her. And that's when I'm starting to think that like, yo, this stuff that he's trying to do and say, it feels kind of baseless, and he just kind of like grasping at straws now in order to like make her look bad or try to save face. I mean, like, in my opinion, if he wants to waste his money, which I apparently, according to a lot of reports, is he's lost a lot of money because of this.
No,
And it's
no doubt. I can't see this being worth
yeah, it's a very
anything.
lengthy legal battle. He does not have the same money and resources as Blake Lively or Ryan Reynolds, and I know that might kind of lead to like a well, it's because they're more powerful, that's why they're winning. I don't think that's the case here. I just don't think that he has enough to like. What I believe is I believe there's enough evidence that they did try to like start a smear campaign against her. I think there's enough proof of that. I also think that hey, maybe she did try to wrestle away creative control of the movie, but maybe it all happened when he started like sexually harassing her on set, allegedly. So I think a lot of these things can be true all at once. And
Yeah.
I just don't think that he is he's supposed to be this kind of face of like, you know, male supportive feminism, and I just think that's kind of false. That's just my opinion of that. And I know they wrote today through his lawyer, Miss Lively and her team's ridiculous declaration of victory is false. He said that they look forward to. He said that Lively's claims that she was sexually harassed on the film set and then subjected to a secret smear campaign intended to taint her reputation were no truer today than there were yesterday. And they said that they will revise their claim, and like they said that 4 of those claims they can still like revise if they need to of the 7. And at the end of that statement, he said that they support all the internet sleuths that keep trying to like basically dig for the truth. So I was like, the fact that they included those people in their statement, those people that aren't really, they're not journalists, they're just like people online that like have nothing better to do, and it's getting them views and clicks. That's it. Blake Lively, posted something on her Instagram, basically saying that she was happy to stand up for what she believed was right. I think she shared on that post like 18 companies that like backed her during this whole thing, and no matter how you want to look at it, it is a very big win for her. And then I know they tried to get Marvel in the mix because they thought the whole like Nice Pool character was a joke against him and his reputation. And this just happened right now. It says Marvel won't have to turn over highly confidential documents about development of Ryan Reynolds' Nice Pool after judge tosses out Justin Baldoni's defamation case. So they can't even get that information that they claim is there. They don't have to hand it over to them at all. So
interesting.
It feels kind of like, dude, I mean, maybe it's wrong to say give up, but it's
like, is the juice worth the squeeze at this point for him? Yeah.
And it feels more baseless on his side. I mean, also, and I forgot also in that his countersuit for defamation was the New York Times, because they were the first one to run that big, sexual harassment story. I mean, I think what people forget and what is true and what is public record is she felt uncomfortable on set. She addressed it to Wayfarer Studios, his production company, and Sony. They all had a meeting about what would not be allowed and what wouldn't be allowed moving forward. So like these things, some things made her feel uncomfortable, and those things happen, and they're on public record as happening. So like that is very much true. Now, I think what they didn't want out there before the movie came out was for her to go really public with it, like to go on talk shows and that's why when you look back at it now, I think that's why how she promoted the movie was so strange. Like, because I think there was so many things that she couldn't talk about. And like, remember, everyone was like, oh, why is she talking about like going to like, wearing your best floral and like go hitting that movie with all your girlfriends? Like, it's not really like I know it's a popular book amongst women, but it's not a like fun endeavor.
Feel good, fun sort of,
Yeah, but now looking back on it, I think that's why her whole promotion of it was so weird, because like she was in a really tough position in terms of
Hmm.
what she could and couldn't say, and then but then as she watched this like obvious smear campaign come up against her, I think she was like, all right, fine, I'm going to go, full steam ahead and like do what I need to do. I don't think her and to an extension, it's not his case, but her and her husband aren't backing down, and I respect them for that. I'm not saying that they're totally right. There could be like a story where like he's an asshole and he overreached and tried to get involved on this film too. She could have overreached as a uh actor, even though she was an executive producer on this project too. Like I don't know what her rights are when it comes to like how much say she has and
Mm.
determining like the storyline direction of a project. But it just if you go back and look at how when it was promoted, all the stuff that was popping up online back then, it just makes so much more sense to me anyway that someone was planting a lot of bad things about her and made her look a lot worse than she is. And that's just my opinion. But I don't know.
Hmm.
Score one for her for yesterday, because that is a big win to kind of have that thrown out. And like I said, he can revise it. They said by the
Right.
23rd if he wants to. It'll just be interesting, like if he does, what he will revise in his amended claim
Yeah.
against her. And then
No doubt a lot of the wind is out of the sails on, I think, his approach to this whole thing. I think if he does revise it, no doubt we'll probably have an update on that on the show. I'm
right,
excited to see kind of like what becomes of that. And no doubt, like this, we don't have all the facts yet. Like I think we're still a ways away from like really finding out what. I think there's some things that are true
what
on both
happened?
sides. I don't think anybody in this story will probably come out completely clean.
Yeah,
But all this that we just spoke about comes a week after another update to this story. This is what initially, like, I can't remember if I sent this to you or if I'd seen it elsewhere, and I kind of wanted your take on this too, because I don't know the in and outs of first, like the American legal system and how
right,
this, like, especially defamation and claims and how you can revoke things. But
right,
apparently, so a week before the judge on this case dismissed Baldoni's claim, Blake Lively had requested to withdraw two of her claims in her original suit against Justin Baldoni. The two
right.
claims of intentional infliction of emotional distress and
Yeah.
negligent infliction of emotional distress. I thought that was interesting, and I don't know if there was any speculation or more information as to what led her to revoke those claims. If maybe she thought she didn't have enough evidence, if that is telling maybe of her embellishing parts of her claim. I was kind of curious about your take on that, or if you knew about that. I can't remember if I'd shared that with you or
Yeah.
not, like offline.
Um, I got brought up. I think it was you shared it with me offline, and of course, I'm not a legal eagle either, so I don't really know exactly. But what I think is the reason why she dropped it, um, is because on their end they would be able to identify her medical and mental health care providers, and also like a lot of stuff like that, like her personal like medical information that she probably didn't want out there. Um,
I
whether or
see.
not that whether that means that there's something serious going on with like her mental state is like, completely up in the air. I just think that
Right.
it's something that like is personal and that she wouldn't want uh out there in any case. And again, this is my opinion on that. I mean, you're in this legal battle with someone who you is claiming, sexually harassed you, right? If it was me and my lawyer told me, all right, if we keep these two claims in there about emotional distress, that they'll have access to your medical records, I would feel like that would be another like violation of my kind of like, you know,
Right.
space, my being, that this person's already kind of taking from me if you believe her and side with her. And
Mhm.
and also they just have to be smart, I guess. Like there's so many other claims that they have against them. They're like, hey, like, we can drop these and move ahead with the others. That's just my personal opinion on that. She just didn't want them to have access to this personal like medical information. And when you do claim emotional distress, it's their right to like look into okay, well, are there other things that would cause you emotional distress, and you're maybe trying to put them on
Right.
what you claim happened on set. So I think that's why she, in the long run, decided to drop those two claims of emotional distress.
Yeah. In any case, it's an evolving case, as we knew it would be long in advance. And it's still not over yet. I think by June 23rd, whether or not he decides to amend his claim or just drop the matter entirely will sort of paint Blake Lively the winner of this whole battle. We'll see if it's still going to be drawn out anymore or not, but I guess we're staying tuned. It had been a while since there was any meaningful update. So,
and honestly, I do think what I've given her credit for, and I think we brought up on the show, is she's been doing all the right things to me. Like she didn't hide away when she had to promote Another Simple Favor. She went to every single premiere, everything that she needs to go to. She didn't. I think, of course, like their publicists well in advance will tell reporters not to ask questions about certain things, and they won't. She's addressed it on some late night talk shows, not directly, but just talking about her year and how rough it was when she was on like the Seth Meyers talk show and stuff. But she went out there, took pictures, did all the right things, and like looked unbothered by it. It could be bothering her like a mess at home, but like when it comes to like her public persona, like she's done a good job of like showing that it's not getting her, and I think that's the best way to do it. And he, on the other hand, I feel like he's just really grabbing at anything to make her look like some villainous, and like I just don't see it anymore. I really don't. I really think that he may have did some of this stuff, and he decided to get into a battle with people he wasn't quite. He lost a lot of things too. Like he tried to subpoena Taylor Swift, that didn't work out. They were like, no, they were like, she has no bearing on this case at all. There's a lot that he tried to do with like now with the Marvel thing. They pulled that request too. There's so much that he tried to do that just didn't work, and I think I'm starting to see that there's a reason for that. And it's not just because like he's a smaller fish in a big ass pond. I just don't really think there's anything there. And I think he's kind of making up things at this point that allegedly, I guess, that might be there.
I didn't realize the subpoena to Taylor Swift thing. I don't know. Again, this is like as somebody that has like no insight really into much of the case. I just kind of respond to what I hear and we chat about it a little bit. But it seems to me a little bit unfair that as somebody that was present for one of these alleged conversations of Blake Lively stiff-arming Justin Baldoni into like taking more of a producing credit and sort of altering the movie in the presence of Taylor Swift, who was reportedly brought in there as like a bargaining chip. I think that her opinion in this and her testimony would shed light, whether it's, I mean, if she's compelled to tell the truth, I think that as a third party would be very telling. It would either support Blake Lively's case if that wasn't true, and obviously it would be damning to her if it was. I think Taylor's omission there is interesting. I think she could have a lot of interesting things to say, at least in regards to that conversation I think it was at Blake and Ryan's condo or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So that's interesting. I didn't realize that she had been subpoenaed and that was rejected. I think that would have been a very interesting. She would have been an interesting fly on the wall for that conversation, obviously.
I think what he had to prove, though, is because this was like a he said, she said kind of thing, is that she was the famous friend in question. Like everyone assumes it's her. And I think I'll go out on a limb and say it was her because I think everything kind of pointed it to it being her. But he had to prove that like she was the famous friend in question that was there. And to Taylor Swift's credit, through her lawyer, she claims that she never had discussions about the movie with any of them. They used her song, which is the only time that she had any discussions about the film, I guess, with the creatives. This is all according to her. She says she didn't even see the movie until I think they said 4 weeks after it came out. So like there's a lot that she wasn't involved with, but she could very well be. It's just that could he prove that she was there?
Right.
And that these conversations happen. And I think that's why they rejected it, is because he really couldn't prove that, all right, you don't really have, like she was present for all these creative discussions are involved at all. Even if she wasn't present, that she was like looming over this project in some way, as a way to kind of bully him into submission. I mean, what we know that is true, that the whole Khaleesi and her dragons comment was true. She did say that.
Yeah.
That Blake Lively, that's in text. You can't ignore that.
Yeah.
But the famous person in question was just never named by name. So I think
I see.
I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, that'd be
But
difficult to prove. Yeah.
But in your defense, I do think it was her. I do think that she was
Yeah.
the famous.
I think
Like,
that'll be
because they are buddies. Not only are they buddies, like Taylor Swift is like the god mother to their
God.
kids.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
exactly.
so like it's not like she's a casual like acquaintance. Like, so I could totally see her being there and like I'm working on this movie. I would love you to contribute a song like that and not just like. And I think that could have been the case, but I don't think he can prove it.
Right, and that ultimately, I think that'll definitely harm his chance at winning any of this or proving anything, whether or not he comes out of the victor.
Yeah,
That's unfortunate. That'll definitely dampen his claim. So that's unfortunate, just in the nature of like getting to the truth of which claims and all this debacle are true or embellished or not true at all. Because I'm sure like there's a little bit on both sides that it isn't quite what it seems. So it'd be interesting to have had that mysterious celebrity. I didn't realize that was still contested about who it was and that it was never proven. I guess I kind of just assumed that because I thought I remember hearing Taylor Swift like comment on it or reading something that she said, "I don't want to be involved in this" and blah blah blah.
Oh, she definitely doesn't want to be. Right. I mean, I think that is true
for sure. Of course not. Yeah. And I agree with you. I think I'm pretty sure it was like I would bet money that it was her. I just didn't realize that was not like proven yet. I just thought it was kind of out there, but
yeah. And and I just hope it's all worth it for his family too. I mean, his wife, forget her name, but she's in that movie Coherence that we covered. She's the lead, the blonde. In that movie. That's his wife, and they have kids. And I just hope it's worth it financially for him.
I can't see it being worth it
because this is not just a him thing. Like he has a family, and like if he's in a position where he's being bullied in submission, and he really wants to prove that these people like hijacked his project, I guess go for it. But to me, what is also coming out in his whole like back and forth with her is that he's not flat out denying that he sexually harassed her. Like he keeps addressing claims more about like the extortion and hijacking his film and all this other stuff. Like he really hasn't, in my opinion, properly been like, I never did that to her. I never made her feel uncomfortable. And I think it's because he can't quite say it because, like I said, what is public is that there's a whole meeting between Sony, his studio, her about what made her uncomfortable and what wasn't going to happen anymore when they were like maybe midway through filming. So I think that's why he hasn't really fully addressed the whole I never sexually harassed her thing. And instead kind of deflecting on the like, well, these two Hollywood heavyweights extorted me and they were trying to steal my movie and like they bullied me and like making creative decisions I didn't want to make. That is a much easier fight to fight, especially in the court of public opinion. That court being like, you just need like you said, one internet so to be like, well, you know what? She seems like a bitch and he seems like an asshole. So I'm on team Baldoni now. Like that's all you need is one, and then there's a bunch after that.
Exactly.
So, like you said, it's a ever evolving thing, and they actually, if it does go to court, they're not going to court until March of next year.
Oh my god!
I think the week before when we were supposed to get the Exorcist, so like around then is when this is going to happen.
Jeez.
And that's I honestly, unless he really wants to dig his, I feel like there might be. I don't think she wants to settle. I think she was like, I will take this all the way to court.
Right. Well, she could probably more easily afford to.
Yeah,
which is definitely incentive. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see.
I hope this gets buried before March of next year. I'm just ready for this to wrap up.
I know. Like I feel like talking to you right now. I got exhausted discussing it. But yeah, so we can move on to a more fun story. Another like horror related one.
Yes, again, there's still another couple horror stories, but this was, I guess, this is the next story.
Both are Blumhouse related too. Like the next two that we have are both Blumhouse related, and I was personally really surprised, but I don't know how I feel about it still because Blumhouse track record lately has been like all over the place. They used to be like a nice destination for horror, but now they
a little more inconsistent in the last couple of years.
Yeah, they're also become known for making horror films on the cheap that aren't great, but they turn a profit because they were cheap. So even though they weren't good, they're like, hey, we made money from them. But Blumhouse has acquired rights of the Saw franchise from Twisted Pictures. I guess like the big thing about this is Lionsgate is still involved as a partner. They have 50% of it, so they are involved in
Okay.
it still too.
I was gonna ask
Um,
that. I thought Lionsgate had the rights to Saw. So when you said Twisted Pictures, I was
yeah.
like, oh, okay, this is already not
So
what I expected.
I guess like the best way to say it is Blumhouse acquired, I guess, Twisted Pictures 50% stake in the Saw
Okay.
franchise, and Lionsgate has the other 50%. I believe that Lionsgate also has a certain amount of creative control. So if you guys think that you're getting that Saw 11 anytime soon, probably not. That's
Right.
still like kind of not a
Dead in the water.
not happening in the water.
Yeah.
But I think what is interesting, which a lot of people have pointed out, Atomic Monster, which is James Wan's production company, works with Blumhouse exclusively now. So technically, the Saw franchise, at least 50% of it, is creatively back with James Wan. So there,
Psych, as the
that's
creator of that
interesting.
series. Yeah.
Um, I guess the one I wanted to know how you felt about it, but also, would you want them to continue on as they were doing it, or would you want them to completely reboot it and start over now that it has like a new home? I guess.
You know what? Just to answer the first part of that, I love that James Wan. This has all come full circle, and at least he has some more creative control with this series, considering this is his baby from back in the day in film school. Infamous
Yeah.
story there of him and Lee Winnell making this movie with a shoestring budget. I think they were still students in film school in
Yeah.
Australia at the time. So it's great to see that come back to him, and at least mostly. As far as like, to be honest, like I am a big fan of the first movie. I've only seen a handful of the sequels, and even then, long time since. So I don't want to like identify as like a huge Saw fan and lead people in the wrong
Yeah.
direction because like I like the movies I've seen, other than I think Spiral, whatever one, which one had Chris Rock?
Spiral.
Spiral, yeah, that other than
Uh,
like that was one of them that I've seen that I definitely wasn't a fan of. But for the most part, I have like goodwill with this series. It's been a while since I really sat through any of them. I'd love to see 10, which was a big success. Just haven't made the time.
yeah.
And I would normally not really be because I've criticized this approach to horror movies in the past, but I think maybe a reboot would be kind of a good maybe avenue
Okay.
for this series, especially because you got the whole uh, issue of like Jigsaw and Tobin Bell sort of
Getting
like,
older.
yeah, getting older. His character has been dead in that series for a long time. You can only
Also that. Yeah. Forgot
yeah.
about that.
So I think, I mean, this series, as it goes on, if they continue with this continuity, is just going to write itself into more and more corners.
Yeah.
So maybe a reboot is the right approach. But again, like it kind of sounds hypocritical for me to say because I've been skeptical of like horror movies just being rebooted time and time again, especially like throughout the 2010s and Hollywood creative bankruptcy and whatnot. But I can't see that they won't do anything with the rights, and there's still, I think, some fertile ground maybe to explore, but more so in a
Yeah.
reboot. But do you feel one way or another about either
I actually
approach?
don't. I am on the fence about either.
Yeah, I
Actually,
guess that's where I would lie too.
like, apparently the idea for Saw 11 was a good one. It was gonna, it would have been topical too because it would have talked a lot about like a little bit more about how corrupt the kind of like healthcare system is, and like around that time is when that Luigi Mangione guy who allegedly shot.
Right.
I guess we have to say allegedly shot that CEO of I think it was what United Healthcare or something like that,
United
and that
Healthcare,
was
yeah.
yeah. So like it would have been a very topical story based on what was going on in the news, and some people think that's why they kind of scrapped it. I don't know if that is the case. I think what we do know is that Lionsgate wanted it to go one way, the writers wanted it to go another, and instead of like trying to meet in the middle, they're like, "Fuck it, this is not going to work," and they just pulled it from the schedule. So,
Okay.
um, so maybe the plan or the idea of moving ahead with like more Tobin Bell and all that stuff, even though kudos to him. I think at his age and like you know building a career out of this franchise for something that started with him laying on the floor for the whole movie for the most part, and only being seen in like flashbacks in that first movie, and then having been technically dead since the third movie. That's when that all happened. I mean, the fact that they've been able to keep that going with him is, I think, pretty admirable, and I think he he loves the franchise, he loves the character, and he's been the one solid thing in even the most mediocre of the sequels. So on the one hand, it'd be great to see him do it again, but I don't know how much longer, like you said, you can milk that.
Right.
And he also is getting older, and maybe it is time for something new. Now, I say that, and I have no idea how they would reboot it or what that would look like. I think Spiral may have been the closest attempt to that. But I think even that lived within the universe in some way where like it wasn't like the other movies didn't exist or something, or like the other stories didn't exist. So like full on reboot would be very different. I read online that James Wan said if he ever did get it back, he would want to redo it. And I don't know if I just don't know what it would look like though. Like I can't.
Yeah.
It's one of those franchises that feels so exclusively what it is. I don't know what a new version would look like. I can see a new version of like a lot of these things, a lot of these like IPs, especially horror ones. That one I can't really. I can't really like picture what it would look
kind
like.
of struggling to see other than like doing the exact same thing. Like I
exactly.
can't really see.
Like it wouldn't feel that much different. I guess like you'd be like, all right, well, like it would feel like it's like this person's doing it for this reason, and like is it the same reason? Like is this one of those things where like he's trying to like show you how like wrong you are by giving you like these kind of these moral choices and all that? Like would it be the same thing, just like with new people in it and fresh faces and fresh directors, fresh writers, all that stuff. Like I really don't know what it would look like. So I don't know. I actually like 10. I thought 10 was much better than it had any right to be.
Right.
And I thought they did a good job of like, I was like, okay, so how are they going to use Tobin Bell? Like I said, he's been dead. The character at least has been dead. And they figured out a really interesting way to do that. They figured an interesting way to like bring Amanda into the mix. There was like a lot. It was a really smart movie, I thought. And at the time when they announced the 11th one, even though I kind of rolled my eyes, I was like, well, that was quick. I was like, well, if they can carry on like this good story that they started here, I'd be interested. But now it's been too long, even though it hasn't been that long. But like when you announce something so soon after something comes out, and you're hearing like every month, like oh, we got a writer, and this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing, and then all of a sudden it's it might be scrapped, it might not be this. Like, it does feel like it's a long time when it's always in the news, basically. Like, oh, we're gonna do another one, and like, oh, no, we're not. Oh, yes, we are. No, we're not. So at the time when the 10th one came out, I would have been down for to continue that story, but now I don't know.
Yeah,
at this point.
I think maybe a few years in between movies until there's a clearer picture of how to go forward with the IP might be the best play. I mean, it must be tempting for James Wan to have somewhat of a creative control and to not act on that right away. You know what? He's still actively making all sorts of different types of movies, and I'm sure that he has lots of ideas still to develop. And Saw it's probably not exactly on the burner for something that's like craving a new movie right now. So
well, Blumhouse has another IP they can mine, I guess, which I liked this movie when I saw it in 2019. Actually, I have not seen it since.
Okay, I was wondering when it came out.
I saw it in theaters. I had a good time with it. Like I remember me and like four of the buddies, like just the characters. Like I mean, Octavia Spencer. We're talking about Ma, and they're making a sequel to that. And Octavia Spencer just killed it in the role. Like you could tell that she was having a lot of fun. Didn't think this was going to happen, but they're making a sequel to it officially, and she is coming back. Jason Blum said that Ma has proven to be a social phenomenon since its release in 2019, with fans eagerly embracing the film and Octavia's iconic performance as Ma. Ma likes to say, "Don't make me drink alone," so we're thrilled Octavia will join us again for a second round.
A social phenomenon is quite the way to describe that movie, because I've not really. I know you saw it and you can comment, but I don't really hear anything about this movie, so I guess it's really interesting.
Well, maybe I'm missing like when these pop up on TikTok or people's. Apparently, it's been a really big heavily meme movie, and I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I mean, I guess like on like X and TikTok, it has, but I mean, even though I'm not always like hip to that, I usually find that stuff. Like we talked about with American Psycho, I found that stuff right away when people started like kind of embracing that on social media. I didn't see that with this. So maybe they are seeing that it's a social phenomenon. I will say that it did make $60 million worldwide on a $5 million budget when it came out.
Oh
So
God, wow.
it was
20
very
times
successful.
its budget. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was very
Or not
successful.
20.
And if you guys don't remember, the first movie followed a lonely woman who befriends a group of teenagers and decides to let them party at her house. But just when the kids think their luck couldn't get any better, things turn deadly very quickly. It was directed by Tate Taylor, who directed The Help, and he directed her to an Oscar in that movie. So that's what I thought was always interesting about Ma, because it was like, oh, that guy is directing that. That's interesting. It was fun. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yep.
I don't think it needs a sequel, but
that was what I was going to ask you as somebody that had seen it. Like, did it leave room for a sequel? Are you surprised to hear one's announced? Do you see any like fertile ground for the story continuing?
I can't really see it. I think it was our boy Merc with the movies, JC was like, I'm surprised it took this long to make one. If they were going to make it, I am surprised it took this long, because it seemed like something you would want to strike when the iron was hot. But maybe, I know she had done some like mini series and stuff for Apple. Maybe she was just busy and she couldn't really do it, and they wanted her.
Well, 6 years is quite a long time, especially after like that's quite the hit at the box office. 60 million off a $5 million budget.
Budget, yeah.
Strike while the iron's hot, right?
Yeah, and maybe we both missed it being a social phenomenon. Maybe there's a bigger audience out there for it than we thought. So there's that.
Must be. Nothing, even like of all the various movie accounts I see that like constantly shout out horror movies, like that movie, as far as I'm concerned, and again, never saw it, can't really truly appreciate it. I don't see any love for that movie anywhere. I don't see any malignment for it either. I just don't see anything about it. So I definitely miss that part where it's a social phenomenon. Even in the horror community, I don't see anything, which is maybe
what's crazy is that like it has a 5.6 out of 10 on IMDb, which isn't great.
Yeah,
a 53 status. A 53 Metascore. It was successful though. I mean, even the bad reviews though said that she's great in it. So I think that was she was. And like honestly, the people playing the teenagers weren't bad either. It's just that it was her movie through and through.
Yeah,
and it's funny. She has some funny stuff in it, but maybe I'll take the time and like look up some memes and see like, all right, maybe we were wrong, and like maybe it was there and I just missed it. But him saying that makes me think the only reason they are making a sequel is that their data show that it's a social phenomenon, and that's why they want to make another one. And then they were like, well, look at how all these new people are like memeing it to death. Like, let's make another one off of these now. I don't know. Movies are getting made for the weirdest reasons now, so it wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, that's it on the Mothra. Like, what do we have up next?
We got Ariana. That is another series I'm not familiar with. But Ariana Grande. Yeah, no. Is this in any way related to Meet the Fockers? Is this like a spin-off?
Yeah.
So I know a little bit.
So it's gonna be the fourth one. So yeah, they Meet the Parents. The second one was Meet the Fockers. So in the first one, Ben Stiller met Terry Polo's parents, who were Robert De Niro and Blythe Danner, and Robert De Niro's character, I guess, used to work for the CIA. And there's a whole like, it's a funny ass movie. And then Meet the Fockers, they met Ben Stiller's parents, and the third one, Little Fockers, which is not good. They had a baby. But they're making another one, and Ariana Grande is officially joining the cast of it.
Okay.
Everyone was wondering what she would do after being Oscar nominated for Wicked, and this is it. Ben Stiller said that from the discussions he's had with her and like the character and all that, he called her the cornerstone of this movie. So like I guess is really impressed with her comedic talents. And honestly, when I saw Wicked, I was too. I forget that before she was a mega pop star, that she was an actress, but it wasn't my age group. I wasn't watching Victorious and whatever she was on, and Sam and Cat. I think that was the other one on Nickelodeon.
Okay,
wasn't in my wheelhouse, but I heard that she was quite funny on those shows, and that she and she had like a small part on that show Scream Queens back in the day that Ryan Murphy did. Like, so
I didn't realize that.
So and then with Wicked, I think she really proved like she has some truly funny stuff in that, and I was really impressed with her in that. But yeah, I mean, are you surprised that I think what is telling about this, it's a Universal movie and she's staying in-house at Universal because Wicked is done by them. So that's how a lot of those deals get done too. Like, you stay in the same business with the same studio that
Right.
you did your first big hit with. So, I mean, any thoughts about her joining in? Are you surprised that she decided to do like a big IP comedy or not something else?
I guess comedy is what I didn't really necessarily think. I guess I could have imagined her sticking towards more like musical or drama, but yeah, didn't really. Again, like not familiar with this franchise. Haven't seen any of the other three entries. Didn't know a fourth one was in the works. So yeah, to say I'm surprised for sure, but more so at the fact like just this kind of material. I don't know if I really knew what I thought was next in store for her
Yeah.
career. I knew that she had the second part of Wicked coming out, and so I guess I haven't really thought further ahead
Yeah.
for her with that. So anyway, interested to see her comedic chops in that. And again, I haven't seen Wicked either. I haven't seen any of her acting performances, I don't believe. So I don't really know what she's got. But apparently, Oscar nominee. So
Yeah.
worth a while. Excited to see what she can lend to that series. Yeah.
Yeah, and for Wicked, Academy Award nominated, Golden Globe nominated, SAG nominated, and BAFTA nominated for Wicked. So good on her for her first movie.
Definitely.
And if you're wondering why we're getting another Meet the Parents, across the three movies, they've made 1.13 billion worldwide. So it's a huge comedic franchise. Interesting though, because we talk about this a lot. These movies came out in the heyday of comedies making a lot of money at the box office, and that has certainly changed.
Those days are not here anymore.
And I kind of wonder if, I'm not saying this is why, it's just like speculating, you cast someone like her because she could guarantee a certain audience going to go see it and it making a certain amount of money. I wonder if that was also the thinking behind it too, because comedies are definitely not in the same position that they used to be. But I mean, casting it, I mean, she's an international pop star and on top of like everything else she does. So like she definitely adds a lot of potential box office dollars. If they cast her, so.
I think something that's a little alarming is that the last movie came out 15 years ago, probably 16 by the time this movie comes out.
Yeah.
So that is interesting. I'm looking at like the footage right now on IMDb, and Ben Stiller is using like a home phone. Like it just
it's a landline.
It's very dated by today's standards. So interesting to see how that will end up going. It also has a 27 Metascore. Little Fockers. I know that you said collectively like they've all made a lot of money, but
Little Fockers is the worst one of the bunch. So like it's not good. And this is coming out on November 25th, 2026. So I mean that's like the Thanksgiving corridor. So a good time to release that movie if you're going to release it.
Yeah, I suppose.
But yeah, I guess we'll see. But speaking of underperforming or just box office, I want to bring this up only because I wanted to hear your opinion on it. I saw Ballerina on Thursday. I thought it was perfectly fine. I thought it was, I thought it had the John Wick aesthetic. I did feel like the extended John Wick Keanu Reeves cameo was a little shoehorned in, a little forced, but overall it was a fun action movie. And like what I respect about this movie and all the John Wick movies is no one's doing action like them. And I was just impressed by it. But it was supposed to open between 35 and 40 million, and it only opened to 24.5 million over the weekend. $90 million budget, but it had extensive reshoots that knocked that up. They won't actually give the full number.
I didn't realize that.
And by the way, this is a case of extensive reshoots, I think, helping the movie, because I know Chad Stahelski stepped in and did these reshoots to beef up the action. Because Len Weissman is a director on this, but his first cut, some people called it a disaster. Some people just said it wasn't actiony enough.
I actually, you saying that does spark my memory. I do remember it being titled not actiony enough, which for this series is definitely a misstep.
Some people, I saw someone say like, well, their first problem was hiring Len Weissman like it's 2006. I mean, I thought that was just a funny statement because that name hasn't been big or not big, but I guess like in the pop culture like lexicon in a while, and that was when like he was doing like the underworld
movies.
With like Kate Beckinsale, and he did the Total Recall remake as well, which I didn't hate, but it didn't do all that great. But it's fine. Why do you think that? And there are a lot of reasons to this, and some people just think that just because it's from the world of John Wick doesn't mean people are going to go see it. Some people had the whole like misogynistic like nobody likes a girl boss kind of movie, especially men. So they don't want to see one led by a female actress. This happened last year with Furiosa, and I think they're very different movies because I think that Furiosa, even though it's an action movie led by a female actress, I think there's more depth going on there compared to Ballerina. I mean, might be a better film than like Ballerina is,
Right.
but I guess the aesthetic is still there. You know, it's action movies opened around the same amount of money, led by a female actress. I mean, Anna de Armas is not a proven box office star either. She's been in some hits, but like not because like Knives Out didn't make money because of her. She's great in it,
Right.
but like it didn't make money
Yes,
because of
that's
her.
early career for her
Yeah,
before she was really
and
a big star.
and and she did the whole the media blitz was good. You know, she's been hanging out with Tom Cruise a lot. I don't know if they're dating or just because they're filming a movie together. They are filming a movie together, but they've been doing a lot of their promotional stuff together. They went to go
Tom
see
Cruise and Anna de Armas.
Yeah, they went to go see a lot of they're doing that whole like it's like an underwater, like I want to say horror film, but it sounds more like a suspense thriller.
Okay.
Than,
Wasn't aware.
and they've been spending a lot of time together, and he was helping her promote the movie for some reason. So there's that. I I thought it would at least open to tracking. I was surprised when it opened to just a little over $24 million, and I was wondering what you thought might have been the reasoning as to why it did not perform as well as they thought it would, at least for now. And does it hurt other potential spinoffs? Because they have the Kane one that they're doing with Donnie Yen as well,
right?
In the works too.
To me, like, and honestly, I didn't really like anticipate that it would be just because it's a female-led action movie. Like, I know that there's a precedent for female-led action movies in the same franchise not doing as well at the box office. Like, that has happened, but I think for me anyway, like I still intend on seeing this, and I'm still excited for it. But the trailers look great. I was a little bit apprehensive to Chad Stahelski not coming back to direct it, so I feel like that might turn off some John Wick fans. Also, Keanu Reeves not really like leading it or even co-leading it. Like he does have a larger cameo, I guess. Like that could be something. Like I guess it's almost like a John Wick movie without John Wick in it. Although I think like that series and the other 4 movies really lay an impressive like foundation of that universe, and there's a lot more elements to the John Wick universe to explore. Like without him, like it's a really rich like assassin universe. So I think it's no surprise that we're getting a couple spinoffs from some other characters. Anna de Armas too has kind of, at least in the last few years, sort of kind of remodeled her career to sort of be kind of like an action heroine, like with No Time to Die and The Gray Man.
Yeah, and I honestly think No Time to Die probably gave them the. I mean, she's great in the movie. I think she looks the part. She doesn't feel like when you watch these movies, it's like, oh, I wonder how much of this is like the stunt woman and like in the actress, but like they're cut together and done so well. They probably allow them to do a lot of what they can do. Like she owns the part, and I know that her small thing in No Time to Die was like when I guess other people that wanted to make action movies with her were like, this is what they saw that made them believe that she could do it. I mean, and her moment in No Time to Die is probably one of the best things in it, if not the best thing in the movie. I mean, it's really memorable, and I honestly don't think the problem is her. I kind of think if you're going to spin it off like this, and then you just had to get the marketing right, kind of masquerading it as like it's kind of a John Wick movie, but it's not. I think that kind of like it be an issue. And he's on one of the posters. I mean, they did use him in the trailer heavily, and when you see the movie, you're like, wow, like you really only use that one big scene of him in the trailer. So like that, there's that. It was fun seeing him. It was very typical Keanu Reeves, John Wick acting.
Yes,
that was fun. But it didn't feel like if you took it out, it wouldn't have mattered. Like the only reason it was there is because they knew fans would want to see him. And I think that is the problem you're going to run into with some of these spinoffs. If you feel like your new lead of this spinoff isn't strong enough to anchor their own movie, or I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that they didn't think she was strong enough, but there has to be a reason why they're like, okay, we have to include him though. because eventually you're not going to be able to. Like, he's getting older too. I mean, I know they're doing
Right.
the 5th one and all that, like, but if you want to keep the universe going, if you want to have this whole from the world of John Wick thing going on, like, you'll have to figure out how to utilize these new characters without having to use him as a crutch.
Exactly. You can't feature in everything. Like, yeah, I agree that it is an issue. So I have a feeling that the studio and the producers are going to be, no doubt, a little bit concerned about how it's doing at the box office. I mean, I think also like Lilo and Stitch is like cleaning up at the box office. It finished ahead of this movie, and it's in its 3rd week at the box office. So like I guess it's facing strong competition. Might have been another thing. I don't know if maybe studios have really anticipated how like spectacular that movie would do at the box office.
Yeah.
Maybe they did. I don't really know, but clearly, I mean, I wouldn't want to be competing against it. So maybe this movie releases a week later, it does a lot better.
And you got
I think
another
clearly
action,
so
and you have an action movie in the marketplace too. You have Mission Impossible still doing decently. I mean, that's
right.
another like, so like that, and So I think there's like that added competition, and also you know, summer is crowded. It's getting more crowded. We're going to talk about it a little bit, like in like a couple of stories. Like, it's just like a lot of movies to choose from, which is like, a great problem to have right now, because especially considering what we were dealing with back in the day when it's like, theatrical is dead and all that kind of stuff. And like, there's nothing to go see. I don't know. I would hate that it's the whole like men not wanting to see a girl boss movie. I hope that's not the reason, but it's out there for a reason. That narrative's out there for a reason. So I guess that is true. And it just feels like in this day and age, it's a weird thing to be true, I guess. Like, are people really just like, I don't buy it when women lead action movies? Like, it is so weird, because like when you like think about some of our best action movies, they feature like strong female characters. If you look at Terminator 2 and Linda Hamilton, like, men love that. They love her in that. You look at Sigourney Weaver and Aliens, like, they love that. So I don't understand why it's different when they are the ones kind of like steering the ship instead. Like, why is that a problem?
It's beyond me. I really don't want to think that is the reason. I think that there are like maybe bad examples where like have they been maybe like inaccurately portrayed? Yes, but you're also like dealing with, when so seldom are action movies believable in the first place, whether or not it's a man doing the stunts or the fighting or whatever. I think it's kind of silly to say, like, if you don't believe a woman's capable of like maybe doing these stunts, when you're talking about some of the things that even are featured just in 4 John Wick movies are obviously defy any logic. So I think it's silly to say, but there are maybe some more grounded examples of action movies that maybe feature maybe some really forgiving stuntmen or something that maybe takes some people out of the experience when it's a woman doing it. I don't know. I've heard that complaint before. I think in a series like this, it so defies like logic and sense, and it's kind of silly to think that like Anna de Armas can't like kick a little bit of ass in it too, and that's enough to keep people from going to see it. Yeah, maybe. I think there's a small demographic for sure that wouldn't go see it, just aren't interested in seeing a female-led action movie. But for it to underperform that drastically, I don't want to like blame it all on that. I think there's probably a multiple. I think it being a strong box office competition right now is probably a big factor as well. But I haven't seen it yet. I hope I get to go see it. It'll probably be something I have to go just see solo, because there's a lot of things coming out that I'll be planning on going to see. So it might be something I sneak in there, but I'm hoping I see it while it's still out, because I'm a huge fan of the series. I was really looking forward to this. Thought the trailers were great. And I'm a huge fan too.
And interesting, like, the reviews are pretty decent. The exits are good too. I think it has like a 92% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, an A- cinema score. So people who have seen it like it. I just don't know if there's just like, why it's not hitting. And like, and this isn't true of all female action movies. Like, Lucy, released in 2014, opened at 43.8 million, made 460 million worldwide by the time it was all said and done. That was led by Scarlett Johansson. Wanted in 2008, this is an Angelina Jolie movie, opened to 50.9 million in 2008, made 342.4 million worldwide. She was also in Salt, another female-led action movie that did good business at the box office as well. That movie opened to $36 million, made $293.5 million worldwide. I mean, does it depend on the girl, the woman? I mean, I don't. I mean, what is the
Maybe.
case?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's just interesting. I mean, it's not always true, but man, I mean, we dealt with this last year with Furiosa, and I know that Anya Taylor-Joy isn't another box office name either. Like she doesn't,
Right.
go see. She does, yeah. But I don't know. I was surprised. I at least thought I was going to crack $30 million, and like no one was expecting it to do like John Wick 3 numbers, which was like 56 million,
Right.
or the fourth one was like 72. Like no one was expecting it to open that high, but I mean, it did open higher than the first John Wick, but I don't even think we can count that anymore.
I
And
know, right? It's come so far from there, but
it could even open higher than the second John Wick, which was like a 30.2. And like so, I don't know. It's an interesting conundrum.
Yeah, here's hoping it has strong legs and that its second week is a little bit kinder and that it maybe outperforms
And
some of
honestly,
the other
it's
things.
not really. It doesn't really have a lot of action competition this weekend. It's How to Train Your Dragon and
Right.
Materialist. So there's not like a straight action movie out this weekend. So maybe it will have legs. We shall see. But we have just superhero news, and this was going to be really quick. This happened today. There is a new Wonder Woman movie in development, according to James Gunn. This was revealed in a cover piece on Entertainment Weekly about the upcoming Superman that's coming out. He said it's currently being written. For those fans of Gal Gadot and stuff, I don't think it's going to be with her. I think they're going in a completely new direction. Honestly, do you think that is the best thing to do? Like, since this is like the new DC universe, like
100%. Yes.
Yeah,
Just
I
end the
also,
sentence.
yeah. I didn't include this, but he said that for the Batman 2, everyone's wondering about that. He said he hasn't read a full script from Matt Reeves yet, but he says that he's excited about what Matt Reeves has told him about it. So they are having discussions, and he also said it's definitely happening. I am so concerned about the lack of this whole, like, we still haven't seen a script from him yet.
Yeah, that is
It's been a while. When did this come out? When the first one come out? It's
2022, March 2022.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
For nothing to
I
be filmed yet or
yeah.
even written, it's very alarming. Like I think people are eventually going to move on if we don't get something soon. So
I'm glad you put a button on that Wonder Woman thing. Like, yep, just start it over completely. Like,
start it over. Yeah.
yeah. And also though, it just was for Superman and Fantastic Four. They had pre-sales go on sale different times. Superman's went on today. Fantastic Four was last week. The Fantastic Four pre-sales, as soon as they went on sale on AMC, Regal, Fandango, it crashed their apps and their websites.
Wow.
And then that happened with Superman today. Superman is having these Prime early screenings for verified Amazon users, and that crashed the Fandango site. They'll be able to see the movie on July 8th if they got tickets. That's 3 days ahead of the July 11th release date. And then Fantastic Four's pre-sales were just for its general wide release on July 25th. A bunch of IMAX screenings were sold out, and it did crash like all those websites. They said based on pre-sales, Fantastic Four looks like it could be a $130 to $140 million opener right now. And
oh my God.
Not enough info on Superman yet because they just happened today. But are you surprised by any of those things for either movie?
I'm surprised by the opening estimates of Fantastic Four being that 100 millions. That is quite crazy. I know, just maybe considering like how some of the preceding MC movies have underperformed. That I mean, people obviously have high hopes for this movie, and I agree. Like it does really, it does look really good. I think especially there's been a lot of more interest in where that cinematic universe is going since Robert Downey Jr. has been cast as Doctor Doom, and people we're getting closer and closer to the next couple Avengers movies, and no doubt this next one will feature heavily. Like these characters are going to be featured in the next couple of movies. So yeah, it seems like the tide's turning, but that is still crazy numbers at the box office.
I mean, they are Superman, Marvel's first family, so I mean
yeah,
maybe that's why.
And like we need a good adaptation of them.
Yeah, the 2005 one, it has a special place in some of our hearts. Who like appreciate it more now after we saw the one with Miles Teller and Michael B. Jordan. We're like, oh, it got bad. I think there is a desire to see it done right and then have them at home within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I guess that could be it. I think everything else now will just be like if early word if it's good, then I can see it going really high. And then with Superman, I'll let you say what you're going to say. I don't know how I feel about it yet, but
me either.
we'll
I mean, it's definitely a new take on the character, for better or for worse. I guess I didn't really have a good grasp of like how excited people were for it. I know maybe people are just excited to see this character revamped after the missed opportunity that was Henry Cavill's Superman, and we'll never really get that again. So it does look very different, and maybe like I think I've kind of assumed that maybe he does seem like to be taking a very different take on it than our last Superman. So I thought that was going to set some people aside, but ultimately it seems like people are really pumped for it. I know the trailer got a lot of great reviews, and people are happy about how it looks there. But I don't think it's come without its criticism. I have seen people kind of maligning David Cornsweet's interpretation of the character. I mean, we've only had a trailer, so it's kind of early to kind of pass that sort of judgment. But still, there is a certain demographic that are apprehensive to this new one. Like there's always going to be when a really popular character is
a lot of the Snyder bros, bros out there too. That really
for sure
can't get over
it. So I mean, ultimately, I think people are. What I get out of this is that people are excited for James Gunn's, take on the new universe. It's going to be the first movie. People are still here for Superman. So it's looking good for that movie, and it's coming out very shortly, only another couple months, less than now. So it's good to see that there's some interest in it.
I know. Yeah, put that dog in all the marketing. They might get like a few extra $1 million. I mean, it seems like people are loving that, apparently.
100%.
And like I also see people online, even though they open different weekends, one's the 11th and one's the 25th. They are people that are trying to create the kind of like organic Barbenheimer experience for these two movies. I don't know if DC and Marvel fans can come together like that to make that happen, but it'd be cool if they did. I mean, if they don't have it not be like one's going to make more money than the other, and then of course that is going to be the case. But like, you might be able to get like a few extra $1 million out of trying to make a kind of internet thing happen where you have like a dual feature experience of this. But it needs to be organic. I think the big thing is like everyone's trying to recreate that, and that was like an organic thing that happened by accident, and there wasn't really like the studio that made that happen. So we'll see. But I think it's encouraging that both movies there's that much interest in them before they even come out. And maybe it's just me, I didn't even know pre-sales were like a huge thing anymore. I haven't bought tickets early for a movie in forever.
I usually don't have.
I never have an issue. I never have an issue getting something on opening day or night. I didn't do that for Endgame either, or any of the other movies that are like huge. So I didn't know there was really interest in that, but I guess there is from people that want to get their tickets early.
I guess so. Yeah, it's not really something I got to contend with in my small town, or well, not small by maybe like Atlantic Canadian standards, but definitely maybe like
LA.
Yeah, exactly. We have 90,000 people here on a good day, so I'm not really competing with. And we only do have the one theater, so I guess that kind of does balance it out. But yeah, no, I'm never fighting for. Most of the time, I'm in a half to 3/4 filled theater, and there's not really a lot of huge like opening events for movies around here. So not a concept I'm really familiar with, like clawing for opening day tickets. But anyway, it's cool. I wish that were the case around here. I wish there was more interest in film in like my community, but it is what it is.
All right, man. We have trailers, and we have a mix of everything. We got horror, we got musicals, we got horror musicals, like dark comedies. At least it's like a little different this time.
Definitely.
We'll start with Frankenstein, which I guess it's a teaser trailer that they released at Netflix. It was last Saturday, and then they released it online. Not really a lot shown from it, like not a lot in it, but it's directed by Guillermo del Toro and stars Oscar Isaac, Jacob Elordi, Mia Goth, Lars Milkinson, and Christoph Waltz. A lot of really cool names in it.
Yes,
it is a Netflix movie, so it's not getting released theatrically. It will open it will premiere on Netflix in November of this year. After seeing the teaser, though, I kind of wish it was getting a theatrical treatment. But like, what do you?
Me too.
What do you think of the trailer or teaser?
So I am a huge fan of Guillermo del Toro. I think it's a shame that he works with Netflix as much as he does because his movies are probably best enjoyed on the big screen. He's a fantastic, one of a kind visual filmmaker.
Yep.
And by no surprise, I was blown away by the trailer for Frankenstein. It was even better than I could have hoped for. I regretfully I did miss out on his last couple Netflix movies, and I feel like I should go back and give them the love that they deserve. I won't be
Yeah.
missing this one, and especially that sequence at the end where we see Frankenstein in action. I love that the design of the character is obscured under
Yeah.
like a hood or something.
Yeah.
And Jacob Elordi playing it is not a casting choice I ever would have guessed.
Well, it was Andrew Garfield, I believe, and then he had to
Okay.
replace it. He got replaced because Andrew Garfield got stuck on another movie. But yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that either.
In any
Because
case, that sequence of Frankenstein's monster on the ship, like going
yeah,
off, that was great. I can't wait to see that in action. And I can't wait
yeah,
to see Jacob Elordi's performance as the monster. I think Oscar Isaac really carried that teaser, and he's
yeah,
fantastic. I think he'll be a great Victor Frankenstein. And it looks very much like Guillermo del Toro is one of those filmmakers you can just like turn on the channel and see a sequence of one of his movies and just instantly be able to tell. And it
yeah.
definitely has his visual style very much throughout. So if you, I think any fans of his movies are gonna be in for a treat. What did you think? Are you a fan of his
I,
movies?
I'm a big fan of his movies. The only thing I'm upset about it is going to Netflix and we're not
Yeah,
getting a
I'm.
theatrical
There's
release
no
of
getting
it.
around
But
that. That sucks for sure.
yeah, but it looks really good. I think it. I love the visual style for it so far. I'm glad it was a legit teaser trailer and didn't show like too much.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm really stoked in the cast. I know there was some like this. It was annoying, but like discourse over Mia Goth saying that this wasn't a horror film, and then some people were getting mad at her for saying that it was.
Huh.
Yeah, well, that I almost they thought she was ashamed to call it a horror movie, which is weird to me because like this is someone that's in like X and Pearl and Maxine, and like she
Right.
doesn't seem to have an issue with horror at all. So I think they kind of read into that too much, but like, um, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It looks good. I'll get over the Netflix of it all. Because we have no choice but to.
I
But
know.
I am actually, even though I know he replaced him, I am surprised by the Jacob Elordi thing being Frankenstein's monster because it doesn't seem like someone that would like you wouldn't need an actor like that to do that. But like, and he doesn't seem like he the type that would do it. No, actually, he does.
Hmm.
Like, cause he wants to do like deeper movies or like something that or and work with like really great directors. But Jacob Elordi has sold a lot on like his looks, and he is a good actor. But like he is, you know, he's also a pretty face. So I'm also like
Right.
that's why I'm like surprised that he was the one that they chose. But I mean, hopefully he blew them away, and then it'll be
Yeah.
good. And that is on hitting Netflix. No premiere date exactly, but it just says November of this year.
Right. Stay
Um,
tuned for that. I guess it's closer than I really anticipated. Another
yeah,
5 months.
yep. Next one is that we were wondering how they would make a sequel to the Black Phone, and
Right.
I got my answer when I finally watched the trailer for Black Phone 2, and going what looks like the whole like Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy Krueger route seems to be how they're gonna do it.
I'm glad I have that written in
So
my notes as well. It's definitely giving Nightmare on Elm
yeah,
Street vibes, and I love that.
so like we were like, you remember we kept talking when he got announced, we were like, well, he died, right? So there's no way how are they gonna do this? And then they brought back pretty much all the principal people from the original movie, Ethan Hawke included, as the grabber. And the trailer, he's dead, of course, but it looks like he's like
Y-
haunting these people in the afterlife, I which I wonder is that a blatant ripoff of a Nightmare on Elm Street, or is that it's just like its own little twist on the story like that, I guess. I mean,
we'll call it inspired by for now until maybe it comes out, but it's hard to deny the comparisons between those two stories. Watching this teaser,
yeah,
I gotta say I do feel because we were both speculating on how this movie is going to work with the villain of the first one dying,
yeah,
and watching it kind of made me feel silly when the whole premise of the first movie involves like the ghosts of the grabbers victims and like the dead
yeah,
kids communicating with the main character. I'm like, so we've already seen in the first movie dead people existing coming back as ghosts. I'm like, so
right,
why is it so far-fetched to assume that the villain would have this sort of like manifestation in a sequel. It's like kind of dawned on me, is like, yeah, that really, this could have worked, I think, or it's going to work. I guess I don't know why I was so confused when the first movie had kind of answered that problem.
Yeah.
But I just wasn't really considering that. But anyway, I really like this trailer. I think Ethan Hawke, I think, just eats up this role. I love to see him as a
Yeah.
villain, just not something we get a lot, if ever. And just I think he's creating a really notable modern slasher villain, which
Oh, yeah,
is
slasher
hard to do
villain.
these
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he really is.
and love Scott Derrickson and his direction. It looks
Yep.
very much like a Scott Derrickson film. He loves that like grainy 70s camera quality
Yeah.
in his movies. So I like that we get a sequence of that in the trailer. So I'm all for it. The main actor too that played the can't remember his character's name, but he's grown up quite a bit in 3 years.
Yeah, Mason Thames. Thames. He's 17 now.
Wow.
Yeah, he's grown a lot. And he's also in the live action How to Train Your Dragon this weekend. So
Cool.
He's got 2 movies coming out this year. Yeah, it looks good. There's a moment in the telephone booth where I don't know if he's like raising him up or like there was something I saw where he was like doing something crazy with him in the telephone booth. I was like, oh, that looks freaky, and it looks like there's some pretty cool like dark imagery in it. I was like, oh, that's going to be good.
Scott Derrickson has said too that it's going to be much gorier, which I'm like, that is awesome. Bring it on.
Oh, there we go.
Yep.
We'll find out on October 17th. And the appropriate time to release this. When I saw like the October thing pop up in the trailer, I was like, oh, that's perfect. That like this will be a good pre-Halloween movie to go see, I think.
Definitely.
Because the last one came out during the summer. It was like June, I believe, when it came out. So yeah, much more appropriate.
Definitely.
And it looks good. And yes, you're right. We should have known that this would have been how they would make a sequel, considering the plot of the original. But I was just so caught up with like it being like, like him being a real man and then ignoring the whole like ignoring the supernatural part of the original movie. Like, oh yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Kind of seems obvious in hindsight.
It's like it's like the reverse of that. So yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
What we got next?
Next trailer, Kiss of the Spider-Woman. Didn't really see this coming from anywhere. What did you think? What did you make of this? I thought the trailer was actually like looks like it's like the trailer says, a love letter to classic
musicals
movie musicals,
and a really good teaser, right? Like it was just like like not that long. I guess like the movie itself is based on a 1976 novel that they turned into a Broadway musical, and it involves these 2 characters who kind of are in an Argentinian prison, and they kind of get lost in this fantasy of like one of the guy's favorite movie actresses, and that's who Jennifer Lopez is playing in the movie. It already has good reviews. It premiered out of at the Sundance Film Festival, and it has 82% on Rotten Tomatoes already. It is being touted as like a true like kind of Oscar grabber for Jennifer Lopez. She's been in this position before though with Hustlers, where she got nominated for everything but the Oscar. But this seems more like a traditional Hollywood, like they'll embrace this kind of movie. It's a supporting role. So she would be in that category because they are the 2 leads, Diego Luna, and I don't know how to pronounce the new guy's name, but I think it's Tonatu. I actually want to ruin it.
I'm not sure, and it's just a single name too, which I was interesting.
$30 million budget too, even though it looks like it's much more expensive than that just from the teaser.
I'm surprised to hear that. Yeah.
Bill Condon directed it. He directed Dreamgirls, which was nominated for Best Picture back in the day, another musical. He did the live action Beauty and the Beast.
He wrote Chicago as well.
He wrote Chicago, so
a lot of musical experience. Yeah. Dreamgirls is one I'm not really familiar with. I know it by title, but that's about it.
Beyonce was in that. Jennifer Hudson, she won an Oscar for it. Eddie Murphy was nominated for an Oscar for it. It's a solid movie. And Bill Condon seems to really love movie musicals. It looks good. I looked up what you said that little critic blurb said about it. It seems like it is a proper love letter to like old school like movie musicals. It'll just be interesting to see if like this will get her the Oscar love that I don't want to say that I'm assuming. I think she really wants it. Like I think she really, really wants it. And like I said, Jennifer Lopez is so good when she tries. Like there's times when she's like, when she puts in the effort, which it looks like she's doing here, it's great. But when she kind of like phones it in and then some random like romantic comedy of the month, then I'm like, I don't really care. But just really from what I'm seeing, it seems like it could be a good one for her. It would be interesting though, because if Wicked for Good gets the same kind of Oscar attention that the first one gets, she'll be in the same category as Ariana Grande if Ariana Grande gets nominated again. So that'll be
this
really interesting to
that
watch.
could derail her. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. But it is opening on August 10th of this year, courtesy of Lionsgate. So yeah. I mean, other than like did you think that is it like I don't really know where you stand on movie musicals really, but like did they look interesting enough for you?
I really respect them cinematically. They're not always like my favorite, and it kind of really depends on maybe kind of like the story. Like I like La La Land, for instance, one of my favorite movies of the 2010s. I think movie like makes me like tear up at how much cinema is in it, and I love it. Then there's some others like Greatest Showman, not really interested in watching it. I don't know, I'm 50-50. I don't really know or can't really pinpoint what it is about some that draw me to them and some draw me away, but
yeah,
I don't know. It is what it is. So this one, I think, it as a love letter to a certain like period in Hollywood. As a cinephile, I respect that, and that intrigues me. I guess we'll see closer to its release if I'll end up making the time. I think maybe certainly the awards attention that it gets will inspire a watch. If not, if I don't already see it before that, so we'll see. But it does look impressive, and the reviews are promising, and I would love that for Jennifer Lopez's career if it could end up being a career high performance for her. So, I'm rooting for her. Yeah, it does look beautiful, and $30 million budget to produce something like that. Gotta respect it too.
And I think she worked closely with Bill Condon. I think she took pay cuts where she needed to ensure that the budget stayed low, which I guess proves how important it is for her to do it. So, I think that says a lot because she commands a decent amount of money for the movies that she does, and the fact that they kept it low and I think that says a lot about what she thinks this project could do. It's one of those musicals I always know by name. If I heard any songs from it, I probably I was listening to the songs in the trailer. I was like, never heard any of these, like even in passing. But I'm very familiar with like the title of it as a musical. I just never, never ran across any of the music. So it'll be interesting one to discover when it comes out. Next movie, a little whimsical. Trailer a little long. We said that offline. It was a little long, but it looks very beautiful. It is a big, bold, beautiful journey, starring Margot Robbie and Colin Farrell. Released by Sony. Apparently, they were really big on this movie. It was supposed to come out earlier in the summer, but they realized they wanted more. They wanted more time to promote it because they actually were hearing good things from test screenings for it, and they released it in September instead of like the early part of the summer, which was where it was supposed to come out. The story is about a pair of strangers and the unimaginable journey that ties them together, and it does look really sweet. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the best way.
I really like the trailer. It kind of came from out of nowhere, and like I said this to you offline, it gives me like Secret Life of Walter Mitty vibes, where it's like a real character that is sort of like like sucked into like their own imagination. That's like making these big bold set pieces that would otherwise be like fantastical or unrealistic become real to them. I hard to explain if you don't watch the trailer, but it looks like there's a lot more to this movie than meets the eye, and I thought it looked really great. Probably will inevitably be a tearjerker. And I thought Colin Farrell and Margot Robbie had a great chemistry just from that mini movie of a trailer, 3 minutes and 23 seconds. I think it ended up being.
Yeah. Was it necessary to make it that long? I mean, I did not like anything I saw. Like the trailer.
No, me either.
What I saw was good. It just felt like it was like over 3 minutes. Like I just didn't feel necessary to have it be that long.
I think it was necessary to have maybe a longer trailer to like sort of like pitch what this movie is trying to be, and it actually makes sense and draw people in. I think over 3 minutes is long for any trailer, regardless of what it is. But ultimately, I didn't really feel like I got many spoilers out of this. There was probably some sequences in the movie that would have been nice to just see for yourself, but oh well, it is. I really liked it ultimately, and it looks like it's going to be like a front runner for maybe some awards. Definitely like maybe at we'll see how the Oscars receive it, but I'm thinking Golden Globes and maybe some Screen Actors Guild or something like that. But it looks really great. I don't really know how to classify. I guess it's adventure, drama, fantasy, romance is what IMDb has it as, and that seems pretty appropriate considering what the trailer gave us. But I don't recognize the director other than he did a couple episodes of The Acolytes.
And
But
he did After Yang too. I just saw that as well.
Okay,
Which
recognize the title, but don't know what. I know what
I
from.
never saw it either. But
Years ago.
Yeah. I was surprised by the one name. I was like, oh,
yes.
who's this guy? Which never usually is a good thing with movies, but I guess it was good for them. This is not a Mick G situation, I guess.
No.
But yeah, it looks good. I'm impressed by it. And up next, we got Wicked for Good, another musical.
Yes.
Not a sequel to Wicked, guys. They split it up into 2 movies because it's a lot of story to tell.
Okay.
So we got the last one in November of last year. This one's coming out pretty much a year later, November of this year. It will conclude the story that they told beginning with Wicked, which made $800 million worldwide. Was nominated for a bunch of awards. And judging by the trailer, I kind of see the same thing happening for this one, and probably it making even more money than the movie did last year. The trailer, I guess, in the first 24 hours got 113 million views compared to the 76 million views from the trailer for the first movie last year.
Oh boy.
In that same time frame. So yeah, not only did it make $800 million worldwide, but I'm sure it's done really well streaming wise. I'm sure it's done really well even physical media wise since then. So a lot of money's been made. A lot of people have seen it. That's why I think that this could be $1 billion earner if it's good. And it looks like it does look good. I mean, I actually really enjoyed the one that came out last year. I never saw the Broadway musical. I couldn't compare it to that, but I thought it was a really solid musical overall. It was long, which concerned me at first. I was like, it was long, and I was like, and it's not even the whole story. Like, there's a whole another movie coming, and I was like, all right. Well, cool. But yeah, I was impressed by the trailer. And like, what did you think? You haven't even seen the.
I didn't see the first part. Again, that's like with me with musicals. Like, I saw Wicked on Broadway years ago in a high school graduation trip and thought it was absolutely fantastic. It was first and only, not the first play I've seen, but like the first play on Broadway, and only since then. And loved it. It's something else you have to carve out the time to watch. But yeah, I think it looked from a production standpoint super impressive. I think obviously if you liked what you got from part 1, this has all more of the same and probably more on it. It looks really great. Honestly, there's nothing like keeping me away from it other than like sometimes musicals I just got to be in the right mindset to really carve out the time. But I think no doubt this is going to be a strong awards contender, and looks like some powerful performances. Production design looks amazing. I guess I think I would have more to say if I'd seen part 1, but I have faith in it for sure. I think it looks great, but
I think it's going to make a ton of money and get a lot of awards attention. I'm looking forward to that press tour with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, because that actually was unintentionally funny. That led to some great laughs. I mean, they're passionate about it. That's fine, but it was some unintentionally funny things that were happening when they were promoting the last one, and I imagine it's going to be the same thing when they promote this one. But yeah, it comes out on November 21st of this year. Our last 2 movies are the most interesting to me in terms of their uniqueness and just interesting plots. The first one being a movie called Oh Hi, which is directed by Sophie Brooks and co-written with Molly Gordon, who actually co-stars in the movie with Logan Lerman. It centers on a new couple played by Gordon and Lerman who go on a weekend road trip that takes an unexpected turn. Everywhere I've looked to find out more about the plot, that's all they really wrote about it. And I guess just judging from the trailer, I'm guessing this is an extreme example of I don't know, like liking someone and then not liking you the same way, and then trying to convince them to get them to really like you, and to the point where she looks like she's physically restrained poor Logan Lerman to the bed.
Yeah.
It looks like a fun dark version of Misery or something.
I was thinking Gerald's Game reimagined.
Oh wow! Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Misery's a good one too. like a mix up of both of those movies, but I
Yeah,
was really surprisingly impressed with this trailer. I thought it was like has all the hallmarks of a great dark comedy,
yeah,
which is like one of my favorite subgenres. I didn't really know what I was expecting by the title, and I had not heard anything about it. So
yeah,
watch. I love Logan Lerman too. Got a soft spot for him as an actor. Don't see him pop up on a whole lot of stuff, but I like him in everything he's in.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I thought I think that looks like it's going to be really promising. Almost kind of like it gives me like not that they look similar by any means, but almost I'm getting the same sort of like feeling as like Companion and just how
Good.
like
Yeah,
surprisingly well, or even Strange Darling, like they fit into this some sort of weird similar
yeah.
concept almost. But I'm really excited to see that one. I'm not sure when it comes out, but it looks like it's going to be a little gem.
July 25th. It premiered at Sunday Film Festival. Decent reviews so far. It's like 74% on Rotten Tomatoes. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The trailer came out yesterday, and I was completely surprised by it and thought it was really good. So, yeah, looking forward to that one. And I guess we'll both be looking forward to this next one. And we both like director Ari Aster, and I know that he ran into some polarizing reviews with Beau is Afraid, his last movie.
Out of yeah.
Uh, I kind of think he's running that same problem with this so far, based on the reviews out of I believe it was
On
the
Film
Cannes Film
Festival,
Festival.
yeah.
Right now it's at
I
66%. And that movie is Eddington. But this is one of those situations where I heard the reviews were mixed, but then I watched the trailer and I thought that I liked it. I was like, this looks really interesting and like unique, and I don't know. Maybe H24 is selling it really well. I was intrigued by it from start to finish, at least the trailer. So I wanted to know what you thought about it and what you think of the potential, not stellar reviews, not bad reviews by any means, but like not matching the reviews of like Hereditary or even
I think
Midsommar.
this movie's gonna be really telling for his career, where he opened up hot out of the gates with Hereditary. I know not necessarily like with cinema score or whatever, but like that movie
Yeah,
I think is a contemporary classic,
yeah,
staple in like any modern horror junkies filmography. And then he followed that up with Midsommar, which is like another like almost outdid himself. Like it depends on who you ask. I think those movies are both like very similarly loved.
yeah,
And then came Beau Was Afraid, which I've only seen the one time in theaters. I've been meaning to rewatch it. Very different, very experimental, and
yeah,
you gotta appreciate how bold that movie is, and really expensive for A24, which I think might have been a mistake. And I think if Eddington now, I think needs to kind of make up for Beau Was
yeah,
Afraid. And with these reviews coming out of Cannes from some people that I've followed for a while, whose opinions I really respect and trust, like it's kind of red flaggy right now.
yeah,
I was really surprised by the trailer. Again, I really think it looks super interesting, but I remember feeling the same way about Beau Was Afraid. And even I didn't like love it. I thought it was
yeah.
good and interesting and different. And I kind of left the theater not really knowing what I felt. But ultimately I haven't returned to it yet. I don't know that I like love the 2020 COVID setting. Like it's kind of something, it's a period that I want to like forget.
Yeah, about yeah,
Maybe I think no one's really tackled that as abruptly as he's doing with this movie. So I think that
yeah.
could be interesting to see adapted as well.
That is very
Um,
interesting because like yeah, it and I hope it's not done in a way that where it's just like a very like heavy-handed like political message, even though I kind of think it might be.
well, I've heard that
But
it doesn't really pick a side, that it's but almost that it should have. Like that's been some of the things I've heard coming out of Con, that it's sort of
yeah,
like not fearless, but like just like spineless. It doesn't really like
no,
have
take
much
one
to
way
say.
or
I don't know. That's just one person's opinion. Like
which
I think,
like some people were on
yeah,
that train with like Civil War when they were like, I wish it would have picked one side or the other when that came
right.
out, and like
And
yeah,
see, like I like Civil War for what it
I did
was. I
too.
like
Yeah,
that it
yeah,
remained nonpartisan. So
yeah. I got good cast though. You got Joaquin Phoenix, Pedro Pascal, who is not saving any roles for anyone else, I guess, lately.
no,
Which is fine. It's fine. Luke Grimes, Michael Ward, Austin Butler, Emma Stone. Comes out July 18th. I don't see this making a ton of money, but maybe it'll be really interesting, like what more people see it outside of the whole like
yes.
film festival click, like what they'll think of it and what that would mean for him moving forward. But like A24 wants to work with him again after Beau's Afraid. So I mean that says a lot. So
Yeah, I'm curious what the budget of this movie is. It's not on IMDb here, but got a
It may not be
5.7
released
out.
yet.
Yeah, might not
Yeah,
yet, but July 18th this comes out. I'll no doubt be going to see it. I still have faith in Ari Aster, but
yeah,
I'd like to see him return to horror, I guess, maybe, but I guess
yeah.
we'll see
Me
how this
too.
all goes. But it is being called the contemporary Western and dark comedy. I think
Yeah,
that's intriguing enough.
and it's 145 minutes, guys. So it's long. It's a long one.
Yeah, that is a lengthy one. Yeah, two and a
It's a
half
long one.
hours.
But yeah, it comes out July 18th. One thing I did want to bring up because you wanted to bring it up. Was there's about Sinners.
Yes.
And which it was news that like I think it did get out there for a little bit, and then people had their opinion on it, and then the news got it was corrected. But I wanted to know what you thought when you heard it, and
Yes.
what should happen. What do you think should happen? This is a good, interesting story because today it officially became the highest grossing original domestic release since 2010, and I think that says a lot about
Wow.
either original films in the marketplace or studios not banking on original films enough. That's a long time between big hits like of this stature, which is like you know north of like 200 million domestically. So like I think that was since I believe that it was Gravity is what it beat.
Okay.
No, actually it beat another movie in 2010. But like I don't know, it's a long time since we've had a hit like that, and that would usually inspire a follow up. And
You'd
yeah,
think. So yeah, I originally and I had sent this to you, and you were right in your hesitation to share it because it wasn't confirmed. But I'd seen on multiple outlets that there was a sequel to Sinners in the works. And then a couple days later, Ryan Coogler himself came out and denied it and said there is not going to be a sequel, which I find disappointing. I kind of conflicted, I guess, before I say that, because yes, I believe in standalone movies, and not everything that does well needs to be sequelized and turn into this whole universe. But
yeah,
this movie was so good and so rich that I think there's a lot of fertile ground. I think it's more ripe for a prequel than a sequel. I don't know that I
yeah.
need to see anything beyond what we get in Sinners. It ends, I think, on a really great note. But
This is
Michael
yeah,
B. Jordan's characters, I think there's a lot more to those characters that is just alluded to on screen that I would love to see explored further in a prequel. So
yeah.
I think there maybe might still be hope for that. We'll see, but I can commend him for the restraint in not taking this any further, especially with how well it's doing, and just focusing on other original projects. But yeah, that movie was amazing, and I can't wait to see it again. But
Yeah, this has been a big debate amongst friends. Like, should it have one or should it not? Some people would I want to see more from this universe. Others are like, it was such a good thing on its own. Don't ruin it.
I mean, I
Um,
can sympathize with that too.
I don't know where I stand on either. I think there is like prequel potential for sure. Um, but then we've talked about it on here before, like when everything doesn't need like to universe build or get a sequel, and like we got a really great movie that maybe that it should be what that's all that is.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I want something if he's down to do it. I don't want him to feel forced into it. I don't want studio pressure to do it. Like I want him to if he does something, it's because he wants to do it and like has a good idea. Um,
Right.
not just because of my selfish viewing needs for maybe wanting
Exactly.
it. Um, but yeah, it's been a big debate in all of the whole like cinephile kind of universe. Like people like wanting it and not wanting it. Like giving good excuses about why we should have it. Uh, I don't know. I really don't know. I feel differently every day
I know,
about
me
it.
too. Like if one gets announced, I think I'd be hyped, but I would never blame him for not, because it is such a great movie. It doesn't need to be touched. Like, and I definitely do sympathize with that statement. Like, I don't want everything that does well just to get a sequel just for money's sake.
Yeah,
So to have the artistic integrity to remain it, keep it as one movie, respect to that. It's not done nearly enough as it should be. So whenever
yeah,
they do, I think I'll have the best faith in it.
yeah.
But a prequel is really what I'm clamoring for. That's what I really want to see get
Me
announced.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the last thing we'll do just because we haven't done it in a while, and this is not going to be a thing that we look up to see what we can compare it to. We're just going to see if the rom com can come back this weekend with Materialist, written and directed by Celine Song, who gave us Past Lives. which is a solid, really good movie that we both really loved and probably won't watch again anytime soon because it broke us emotionally.
Right.
That movie made $42.7 million worldwide on a $12 million budget, but they platformed that out. And that movie also wasn't really a traditional like film that would make a lot of money. But you have what is being described as a romantic comedy with Dakota Johnson, Chris Evans, and Pedro Pascal.
Of course.
And the trailers were just really good because you could tell that they were making fun of at least like how those trailers were made back then. They even brought back the voiceover guy for the second trailer to like do a proper voiceover for it. Like,
oh,
so
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, and all the reviews are like solid, and it seems like, but there is like a running thing through some of the reviews. It's got 89% Rotten Tomatoes so far, with 38 reviews counted. And this seems like it's being described as a romantic comedy for people that don't love them, and that it kind of like is really like really digs deep into like the ideas of like unrequited love and like all this other stuff that we kind of like deal with in this day and age. And never really like, I guess it's not what it seems to be. It is an A24 movie, so I think that kind of lowers its wide mainstream appeal. But like, there's a part of me that thinks because of the three people who are in it that it could do well, and that's why I don't know where to predict it at. I'm just gonna throw a number out there, but kind of like I wonder where your head's at as far as like it doing any decent business, at least opening weekend. Because again, Celine Song is not a name. I mean, we know her, but like,
I know, right? But like the general public, she's only done that one movie. I mean, she did get some Oscar.
Yeah,
wait, did she? What was past?
I believe she was nominated.
Right.
And like nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture and Best Original Screenplay. So she was involved in that. This is going to be sold on the appeal of his 3 stars. And there is appeal from all 3 of them. And I know there is a pocket of the internet that says Dakota Johnson cannot act. That is not true. She can. She doesn't always pick the right projects, but when she's in the zone, she is in the zone.
Yeah,
like truly in the zone. So I don't. I guess this will test the appeal of all 3 of them. It really does, but
I really don't know what sort of benchmark I'm going off of here, but just consider maybe I'm basing it more off of like past lives. But I'm going to go with 16 million as its opening.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's too low or too high. I really don't know what I think.
You say 16?
16, 16, yes.
Okay.
What do you have in mind?
Oh, no, that's pretty good. I'll go like a notch lower than you. I'll do like 15.
Okay. Nice. Keeping it close.
With potential for decent word of mouth.
Yeah, for sure. I had originally thought 13 and it was last minute switch. So, but 16 final answer. But yeah, hopefully it does well. I, again, plan on going to see this. I don't know that I'll have the time to see it on its opening weekend, but don't want to miss it while it's in theaters. We're getting such a busy time.
Good date movie.
Yeah, for sure. It might be one I drag your girlfriend to.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it's coming out Friday the 13th. Not really.
True. I didn't even realize we had one of those coming up, but yeah, shoot.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know that was a lot of news to throw at you guys, but there was a lot to cover. Which doesn't happen all the time, but we want to make sure we didn't miss anything. So there you have it.
Yeah, there you go. All caught up. It's thanks for sitting through another lengthier episode. We don't usually hit this sort of 2-hour benchmark, but there was a lot of stuff. So thank you guys for those still here. Appreciate you guys tuning in for another episode. This has been episode 243. We are rapidly approaching our episode 250. So we'll have a little bit something planned to address that in our 250th episode, which is coming up probably just in another couple of weeks at the rate that we record. So if you guys feel inclined, sometimes we share reviews on our milestone episodes. So if that's something we decide we want to do, now's the chance. If you guys for long time fans of the show, or if you're new to the show, feel free to give us some love wherever you guys get your podcasts and can leave reviews. You guys can find us no matter what mobile device or any device that you use. You can find us on your app store. And of course, make sure you guys download playlists and give us a listen to on that app there. They are our network and they do a lot of work for the show behind the scenes. So much love to them. Thank you, playlists. And of course, guys, 242 other episodes for you guys to go watch. Listen to The Virgin Suicides should be coming out at the time that this episode's premiered. So go and give that one a listen. And of course, we have lots more coming up for you guys for the month of June. Still got some May anniversary episodes coming your guys' way. So stay tuned to more episodes on the podcast. And thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.